This is the NX 450h Plus plug-in hybrid SUV. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and I get asked all the time on this channel, film a NX plug-in. Now, that's always been really difficult because usually we have such a waiting list for this vehicle that they're never in the dealership for more than like a day or two. Well, at the auto show, today we have the NX plug-in right behind me. So I'm just gonna do a quick overview of it. Starting with the front, we see sort of the luxury NX front end. So it's not as aggressive as the Sport styling, but we do still have a very big grille that doesn't really look like the traditional styling of an EV or a plug-in EV right now in the marketplace. So it sort of just looks like a regular NX, which is nice. We have the triple beam intelligent LED headlights and the daytime running light sort of trimmed off above it. The rest of the grille sort of is some different angles and things like that, but most importantly, we still have the headlight washers as well as actual venting sort of underneath that. Going to the side of the NX, this is where you can start to see the difference between the NX and the RX. Now the N for NX stands for nimble. So it's supposed to be sort of like a sports car chassis. In fact, the first NX had a platform more based off of the IS than something like the Toyota RAV4. And on the side profile, we see that sporty sort of nimbleness. We do have a 20-inch wheel now on the NX, where a couple years ago it was, a smaller wheel. However, it does tie in everything quite nicely. I'm about 6'1". You'll see it's not a very tall vehicle. In fact, it's only a little bit taller than a sedan, for instance. The side profile sort of tapers off. So it starts off a little bit low, gets a little tall, and then tapers off sort of like a hatchback. Now, being the plug-in NX, on the passenger side of the vehicle, we have the plug-in. On the driver's side, we have just that normal gas cap. That's really the main difference to the exterior from the plug-in hybrid to the regular hybrid, and it's one of the only ways that you can tell a difference. My favorite feature on the exterior of the NX is just how the doors themselves operate. I know a lot of people don't love them, but I do. So this has the new electronic latch door handles, meaning when you're going to enter the vehicle, you sort of just squeeze a little pad inside the door handle. It doesn't actually move or anything like that, and that opens it up. However, when you go to leave, it's one very smooth motion where you sort of just apply your thumb to the electronic door latch and it just opens in one motion instead of like pulling a handle and using your elbow. So NX was one of the first to do that. And it's a very solid door as well. So the back of the NX plug-in is the second time, or the second place you can see that it is the plug-in hybrid, and simply it just says NX 450h Plus. So the plus and the H means that it's a plug-in hybrid. In my opinion, the plug-in hybrid is sort of the way to go if you're looking at an EV. The NX is a great fit for that. Now also we have things like an exposed wiper instead of the tucked away one. Hatch-wise, it's very easy to load and unload anything because it's not like a super high height. It is a little bit smaller back there than the RX, but not by a ton. Okay, so sitting in the NX plug-in, this particular one is an executive package. So we have things like Mark Levinson sound system. We have some really nice wood trim sort of all over the place. The new heads-up display, which uses sort of an intelligent touch interface here on the steering wheel. If you haven't seen my video on it, simply it makes it so that the buttons on the steering wheel are customizable. They're not just what they're programmed to be. You can sort of change different screens and that changes what they do. It is really nice when you get used to it. At first it might be a little intimidating, but to be able to function so much of the car without taking your eyes off the road because of the heads-up display, and without taking your fingers off the steering wheel, I think is really important. And part of that really nice safety. We also have some piano black sort of strung all through the cabin here. It is a pretty small center console, I would say. The dashboard's big, but there's not a ton going on there, so it's not much of a distraction. And then we also have a couple different drive modes here, specifically on the 450h Plus. So we have a button that says HV, EV, hold charge. So this will turn different modes from like making the vehicle take preference over charging that EV system, or making it take preference over something like just average fuel economy or power. And then we have the auto button for the auto EV HV mode. So that's probably where I would keep the car, to let it do its thing between being an EV car, because the NX plug-in is one of the few that can actually drive as an EV, or hop into hybrid mode where it's going to do gas and hybrid. So again, just always using those to be the most effective or fuel efficient or driving experience that you want to do. In the NX, we also have center console that opens from both sides. We have a really decent seating position. I'm 6'1". It's not too bad for my height. My head doesn't touch the the sunroof or anything like that. And also, it's a pretty ergonomic small SUV. In fact, I would say this is probably gonna be the new market for like the smallest of SUVs because of it really checks so many boxes, especially with the fuel economy. There's no reason to go with anything smaller really, because the safety features make it easy to park. The hybrid and plug-in hybrid make it so it's really fuel efficient, so you don't really need to go down in size much anymore. The NX sort of checks all those boxes. Okay, so the NX 450h Plus. I know I've done tons of NX videos in the past, but I've never been able to do one on the plug-in, and I hope to do one perhaps driving the plug-in a little bit in the future. To me, the NX plug-in really checks the boxes for anybody looking at an EV but doesn't want that range anxiety. They can just put regular gas in it, you can still plug it in every night, and for small commutes, you're only gonna be using that EV. In fact, it's one of the only hybrid EVs that Lexus has in the lineup that you can be in full EV mode whenever you need to be. So for that smaller distances and things like that, and still have the power and smoothness of that EV. So I'm gonna do a driving experience one in the future. I just haven't had a chance to do it, but once I get my hands on one, I'll make sure to film that. Otherwise, let me know in the comments below what you think of the plug-in and if it's something you're gonna put your name on.